Welcome back, you beautiful, hungry people. Today we're going on a global adventure. We're skipping the overpriced restaurants and delivery fees, and we're staying in tonight. This is date night, Chinese takeout edition. We're not going to go into the science of how things work and showing you how to do X, Y, and Z. Today I want to show you as many dishes as I possibly can on how to bring Chinese takeout home in your kitchen. Things you can do together. Roll an egg roll, fold a dumpling, make some lo mein. You don't have to make all of these items. You can make a few or even none involved. There's probably some of you who are just sitting watching for fun, which at that case, at least hit subscribe if you're going to hang out, right? What are we making today? Well, on the Art of Eating takeout menu, we have smashed cucumber salad, veggie lo mein, egg rolls, pork dumpling, cashew shrimp, beef and broccoli, sesame chicken, and crab fried rice. The point of this episode is to show you how easy it is to make authentic Chinese recipes at home, all while spending time with your boo, while laughing and failing and attempting to make something way out of your reach. Kidding. You basically want to just start off by talking about how to make rice, because that's going to go with literally everything we're going to make today. You could also just do this in a rice maker, but if you don't have a rice maker, there's a chance none of you really know how to make rice. So it's baffling on how easy it is to make perfect rice every time. Today we're going to use the hybrid basmati rice. It's just what I have in my cupboard today. So now the first step before you even start cooking your rice, you need to wash your rice. Why do you need to do that? Well, I'll show you. You can see here on these rice kernels, by putting them in your hands, you have like this little powdery film on the outside. That's just like the excess starch that is on the rice kernels themselves. If you were to go to steam this with extra starch, it's going to thicken the water in such a way that your rice is going to start sticking together on itself. You don't want that. You want each and every one of these kernels to almost be like their own identity and fall on top of the other one. That's how you get a better texture as you're eating. You can also increase the amount of flavor that you're getting from your rice this way. So please wash your rice. It's worth it. It takes 60 seconds. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take all of the rice that we're going to use, put it in a strainer, and then let that run under cold water for about 60 or 90 seconds. Coming by every now and then just to agitate it and make sure all of the water is getting thoroughly rinsed, and that's about it. Notice that I'm not measuring this. Yes, rice is a 2-to-1 ratio when cooking, approximately, but you don't always have to measure your rice. I'll show you a trick in just a bit on how to make sure you have the right amount of water. So I'm going to pour my rice into our strainer, and then I'm going to run cold water over this for about 60 seconds, making sure that our rice is thoroughly mixed. Next, you want to grab a pot. Make sure you grab one with a tight fitting lid. Not one that like sort of has a tight fitting lid. You want a nice even seal to trap in all of that steam. It's going to help your rice cook more evenly. I'm going to dump my rice into this. Now, some recipes or some people you'll even see likes to bring their water up to a simmer or a boil and then add their rice. I've done it both ways. There's not a marginal difference. Next, you want to add your water. Well, how much water can you use, Matt? You never measured out your rice. That's totally fine. We're going to add water to completely submerge our rice. Make sure you give it a nice shake to make sure all of the kernels are laying flat on the bottom of your pot. And then you want to take your index finger, no, your pointer finger, this finger, the first finger, I don't know. You want to dip it into the rice until the tip of your finger touches the top of your rice. Then the water level should exceed just around that first knuckle here. So essentially you're dipping your finger in until the water hits that first knuckle. If you're a little bit under, you need to add a little bit more water. That's like the biggest rule of thumb. Boop, a little bit more. That should take us there, right? Yeah, that's perfect. That's just where you want to be. See? Aha! Now today we just need white rice. If you were going to make rice for something else in the future, maybe not for Chinese takeout night, you can add a nice knob of butter or a little oil, maybe some salt, maybe some chili flakes or other seasonings that would pair well with whatever you're pairing your rice with. You can even throw some green onions in there, some thyme or other aromatics, garlic, shallots, whatever you think. Think of it as you're seasoning the aroma of your rice. You're essentially steeping whatever flavors you put in here, so it's a great opportunity to infuse any sort of flavor you'd like into our rice here. Today we're not going to do any of that. Today we're just making regular white rice. We're up to a light boil. Throw a lid right on there, drop it down to a slow simmer, and let that rock for about 15 minutes. Give it a check. You're basically cooking until all the water is evaporated. That's it. That's white rice. It's literally gonna go with everything we're gonna make today. There you go. Perfectly cooked, not gluey or clumpy rice. Soy sauce, sesame oil, rice vinegar, chili oil, toasted sesame seeds, minced garlic, 1 large cucumber, trim. I'm gonna quarter this just so it's a little bit more manageable. Then using the side of the knife, pressing it firmly here. Make sure the blade is pointed down slightly so you're not cutting yourself. Smash. So now you have like these smashed pieces of cucumber. We're just going to kind of like rough chop them into some irregular shaped pieces. The smashing aspect of it is really going to burst those cell walls, allowing this marinade to really penetrate inside of the vegetable itself. Next, I have some cilantro here. We're just gonna rip this, tear this right in there, stems and all. Cilantro stems are actually a little peppery. They have a little kick to them. Nothing too overwhelming. We'll give this a nice stir, making sure everything is soaking in that liquid and all of it is incorporated. Smells outrageous. Smashed cucumber salad. Let this sit for at least 30 minutes. Longer is better. Spoon this into a nice dish. Make it look a little bit more presentable. More cilantro right on top for some garnish. A little bit of green onion as well, right on top. Veggie lo mein. It's almost a necessity with any takeout order. Let's make the sauce. Soy sauce, Shaoxing cooking wine. I definitely butchered the name of that, so just refer to this word right here. That's what I'm trying to say. Sesame oil, little bit of oyster sauce. Even if you don't like oysters, I highly recommend still using oyster sauce. Don't substitute it. It has a little bit of sweetness in it. Yes, it's made with oyster juice, but oysters is like the last thing you taste here. You just taste umami and a huge punch of flavor. Don't skip it. Set this off to the side. All right, so for our lo mein, I'm going to be cooking all of this in a wok. If you don't have a wok, just use a large pan. It'll get the job done, I promise you. To my right, I have all of my mise en place here. Once your pan is on, the show begins. It's a symphony. You need everything to go seamlessly. Having all of your ingredients pre-cut, chopped, ready to go is definitely going to help make this go smoother. So I encourage you, have all of your mise en place ready before the dance starts. Let's fire her up. So I have a little bit of canola oil going in first. You can use any sort of neutral oil. I just don't recommend using olive oil. It's got too much flavor. We really want to keep it bare. Now I am rotating the oil around the entire wok. I want the whole wok, since we're using the entire pan, there's a lot of surface area here. We need the entire thing coated in that oil. That's gonna lube it up for us, all right? I got some cabbage going in first. Some green onion. Then I have some sliced carrots and some bean sprouts. And I have some peas. Unfortunately, I can only find frozen peas right now. So hot oil, ice, you're gonna wanna take a step back when these go in, all right? Cook this out for about 90 seconds, then we're gonna add our noodles. I'm using just these stir-fry noodles here. They're pre-cooked in a package. You could make your own noodles if you're an overachiever. Our vegetables are getting nice and soft. When we're at about this point, this is what I wanna do. I'm gonna add the garlic and the ginger. I didn't wanna add this in the beginning because it cooks rather quickly and I didn't want this to burn. So we're gonna come in with a nice little knob of garlic. Again, I'm just using these packaged stir-fry noodles. They're great. It just takes a few minutes for those noodles to soften up. So I'm gonna move the noodles and the vegetables over to like one side here. And then we have like a nice pool of our sauce. Now we're cooking our sauce, we're concentrating, we're reducing those flavors. You don't wanna reduce it too much because there's so much sodium in that soy sauce. So to kind of help thicken this and work in our favor, I have a slurry, a little cornstarch and a little water here. We'll pour that right in and it immediately starts to thicken our sauce. So you wanna start stirring that up. It only needs a few seconds on the heat to really start to thicken. Cutting our heat off using the residual heat just from the pan, and then I'm just gonna hit it with a little bit more green onion in here. Right into a bowl of sorts, something to serve vegetable lo mein. In a bowl I have ground pork, garlic, ginger, and some green onion. Some soy sauce or tamari, and then we're going to mix. Dumpling mix. Unfortunately, they're square. Try and find round ones. It'll make your life easier. But if you don't have round ones, cut her and kind of make your own. We're gonna start by brushing the exterior with just a little bit of water, putting a small amount of filling right in the middle. Now the Italian in me wants to immediately crimp this and turn it into a ravioli. But actually what you wanna do here is starting on one side, you wanna form these little pleats, keeping one side flat, which I like to do the side closest to you, and then pleating the rest, just like this, forming these little pleats. When you get to the end, it'll start squeezing out if you have too much in there. Just kind of like kick that out, and then to close it, you're just gonna crimp the outside. And then just like that. Look, I'm not a master at making dumplings, so if I can do it, you can do it. So like this, starting out one side, we're pleating. We're pleating. Boop, keep that shape, keep those pleats. Those adorable little Asian women can do this so well. This is a bamboo steamer. It's got many layers, kind of like an ogre or an onion. Now the traditional way of doing this is taking cabbage leaves to have a natural base so your dumplings don't stick. We're just gonna pop our dumplings right in there. You just wanna have a wok set up with some water and some steam, and you can drop your dumplings right in there. I can't stress this enough, be very careful when handling your dumplings. They're steaming hot. So after about 8 or 10 minutes, wow, look at that. We have these lovely little dumplings. For the dumpling sauce, I really don't do anything too crazy. You could do this in a bigger batch, but I'm just gonna do the personal size because we only have 8 dumplings. I'm just gonna take some soy sauce, a little bit of green onion, and some chili oil, with a small garnish of some sesame seeds right in there. And look, make it look nice, okay? Green onions go a long way, all right? Okay. Now, the real question on everyone's mind, how do they taste? Look at that, look at that. We made a dumpling, guys. They came out pretty freaking great, okay? So, pro tip, right? You wanna bite the dumpling, and then you wanna fill it up, boop, 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 with all that juice. All the juice now is sitting in the bottom here. Wow. Egg roll time. We're gonna start with a tablespoon of oil. Pork. I make the pork as flat as possible to really get a nice crust on the bottom. And then once it's like nice and brown, you wanna like just make it into smaller pieces, these really fine pieces. You could take a potato masher and kind of break this up, but the back of a spoon or a spatula will work fine. I want this really nice and crispy. Let this go. Aromatics, the Trinity, green onion, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of ginger. Give that a nice toss. Wow, really fragrant. We're gonna drop this just down to a medium. Next, we're gonna come in with our vegetables. I got some chopped cabbage here, a little bit of shredded carrots. Don't be scared of it, I promise. You can omit this, but you'll be silly if you do. We're only adding about a teaspoon, it's not a big deal. Then I have soy sauce, oyster sauce. We're gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes or so. We really want this to cool before we roll it, otherwise it'll ruin our wrappers, get all nice and soggy. I have these egg roll wrappers. They are giant little squares. Definitely buy these. You could try making them. They're pretty difficult. This is such a cheat code. Just use them. We're gonna go down in a diamond shape. Just gonna take some of it, put it at the base. So we are going to start by folding the sides in, and then folding this guy up, so we make like this cool little envelope. And then one more time. And then on the last time, just taking a little bit of water here and making sure this seals, like so. Boom, egg roll. We're gonna do it again, don't worry. So we'll do our filling right in the middle again, and sides in first, boop. Then the top, boop. Make sure these guys are nice and tucked in, these little corners. Fold them up once, okay? Roll it on again. I like to tuck these sides in like this. See what I'm doing here, like that? Boom, 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 chow. Seal it. Egg rolls, gosh. Pop these in the fridge just to kind of set and seal that until you're ready to use them later, or you can get right to frying. Put them on here rather than just dropping them straight in, and then lower them into the bath of love, where they will begin to fry. Excellent. We're gonna cook this for about 2 minutes at 350 degrees. Keep in mind, The inside is already cooked, so we're really just chasing that nice crispy exterior. Every, 30 seconds or so, you want to just give them a nice little flip, roll them around. Anything out of the fryer always gets a little hit of salt. Egg rolls. For our entrees, we're starting with some cashew shrimp. So I have some peel and devein shrimp here that we're just going to marinate. Soy sauce, a little bit of fish sauce. Give this a nice stir. A little bit of soy sauce, some oyster sauce, mirin, a little bit of water, a little bit of cornstarch. Then we're just gonna set this off to the side. I feel like it's important to note, this is not a traditional cashew shrimp. This is how I like my cashew shrimp. So for our vegetables, we have shredded carrots, broccoli, some celery, and some snow peas. So if I'm not gonna do it traditionally, you should at least know how it's made traditionally. Normally when you're making cashew shrimp, you boil all of your vegetables first, including your shrimp, and then you stir fry. So the stir fry really only takes about 2 minutes, and everything is pre-cooked. I don't love that. I want all those flavors to kind of hang out and get to know each other a little bit more. So we're gonna do things a little bit unconventional. Going in with like 2 tablespoons of oil into our wok. Once our oil is nice and hot, we're going in with our shrimp first. Be very careful that this doesn't spit at you. Same idea, you wanna make sure that your pan's not too crowded. So as you can see, right, by the firmness, the shrimp's almost done. We're about 80% of the way. I'm gonna kick it out of the pan. Now we have all of our vegetables all going in at once. We're gonna add our shrimp back. And we're also going to add our sauce. Make sure you start moving this around. The sauce has cornstarch in it. The cornstarch is gonna start to thicken. That's what's going to give us our nice velvety consistency in our sauce. That's going to lightly coat all of our vegetables and our shrimp. To this, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. Who are we kidding? A lot of bit of garlic and a little bit of green onion. A lot. So the last thing we're gonna add here at the very, very end is our cashews. My cashews are already toasted, and we're really just adding them at the very, very end so they don't get too soggy and they still have some crunch to them. Cashew shrimp. I'm using a skirt steak here. You can use flank if you'd like, whatever you can find that's high quality. We want these nice little strips, just like this, these little pieces. So instead of doing a marinade, we're actually going to rub our steak down with a little bit of baking soda. This is called velveting beef. The baking soda is going to act with the enzymes in the beef to really tenderize a nice, delicate texture to our beef. So just give this a nice stir, and then we want to let this rock out for 20 minutes. To prep the sauce, I have some soy sauce here, a little bit of rice vinegar, some white sugar, minced ginger, and a little oyster sauce. I have a yellow onion here, and we're just going to kind of rough chop. After your beef has been marinating with that baking soda for about 20 minutes or so, I'm just gonna come in with a little bit of cornstarch. I don't know, about like 2 tablespoons or so. And then give this a nice stir. You want the beef completely coated in that cornstarch. If you have a little too much cornstarch, it's okay. No one's gonna know. But the idea is it's going to help us achieve a better crust when we go to sear it. Then we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. So we're gonna start with our vegetables. I have our broccoli and our onions going in with our broccoli first. We really just wanna brown the outside of the broccoli to get some extra flavor. We still wanna keep it crunchy on the inside. You can kick these pieces around a little bit. You can see some of them are already starting to brown. I like to kick all the broccoli off to one side, and then we're gonna go in with our onions. Nice toss, make sure everything is coated thoroughly in that oil to help brown everything. Got a little bit of a crust going on, that's just what we're looking for. Now, our vegetables are just about there. We don't want them cooked 100% of the way. We are going to reintroduce them when the beef is back in the pan, but we want them cooked about 70–75% of the way. You still want it crunchy on the inside. Throw your beef in. make sure it's got enough space everywhere. You're gonna put the beef in the pan, don't touch it. You wanna get a nice sear. Let it sit for about 60 seconds to really get a crust on one side, then we'll start flipping things around. Again, we cut this pretty thin, right? On the smaller side. It's going to cook relatively fast. Give everything a nice toss. You see how brown we're getting in our pan here? Look at that. Look at that piece. Once your beef is just about there, we're gonna lower this heat a bit to a medium, adding in all of our vegetables, and then going right in. We're gonna let this cook now for about a minute or two. Really melt all those flavors together, slightly thicken that sauce, coat all of our vegetables and our beef. Beef and broccoli. You want to cut your chicken into small cubes, that way they cook evenly, just like that. To this bowl, we're going to add a little bit of soy sauce, sesame oil. Now this is totally optional, but if you can find it, I have a little black garlic sauce. It's just going to add another layer of umami. Pop this in the fridge. We want this to marinate for at least 2 hours. We're going to start with some chicken stock, some soy sauce, a little bit of mirin, just a touch, and about a tablespoon of sugar. Stir this up. Now, for the chicken, I have equal parts flour and cornstarch. It's like a rough, equal parts. Mix your flour and your cornstarch, and then I'm gonna take the chicken, and we're gonna dump it right in here. Mix your chicken and your cornstarch action together. Then you just wanna shake off any excess. You'll have little pieces like this. Next, we're gonna fry this chicken in canola oil. Move them around as soon as you pop them in, just to make sure that they're not sticking. We cut this chicken pretty small, so this isn't going to take very long. This should only take about 2 minutes to fry up until they're golden brown. We're gonna go in this little cooling rack here that I have. Look at that. We're gonna go right into our sauce. Boom. Fire it up. You see how perfect that is? Golden brown. When your oil is nice and hot, it'll start to shimmer. Rotate it around the pan. Make sure the whole pan is lubed with hot oil. We're gonna be using it all. Garlic, ginger, a lot of ginger. I take it off the heat, let that get really fragrant and start to bloom all those aromatics. Lovely. And then we're gonna add our sauce. I just have some cornstarch mixed with some cold water. That's called a slurry. That's gonna help thicken this sauce. But again, I kinda wanna cook this out a little bit longer. Make sure all those sugars and everything is all dissolved, right? You wanna make sure you have everything ready to go. This is gonna go quick. So I got our slurry. That's going right in. You'll immediately notice that it's gonna start tightening everything up. Give this a nice stir. Keep this going. Give this like, see how thick that's getting already? Beautiful. Look at that. When it starts to get thick, we're gonna add our sesame oil. I'm gonna drop the heat a little bit, and I'm going to add in our chicken, followed by our sesame seeds, toasted, followed by some green onion. Give this all a nice toss. You wanna plate this rather quickly because you don't want the crispy chicken to get real soggy on you, you know? Sesame chicken. All right, so listen, if you've made it this far into the video, do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe. You're not gonna wanna miss another one, all right? I saved the best for last. My all-time favorite, let's get into it. Crab fried rice. We have shredded carrots, onion, bean sprouts, a little bit of jalapeno, and then I have all of my other ingredients that we'll be using right here. First thing going in, I have our onions. Sweat these out. After about 60 seconds, we're gonna go in with some cabbage, and then our vegetables, our carrots, and our peppers. Next, I got a bunch of garlic and some ginger. At this time, I'm also gonna add just a pinch of MSG, just a little bit, Give all that a nice toss. Damn. Next, we're gonna go in with our rice. Use day-old rice. You almost need that rice to come out of the fridge. It's okay. It's going to fry up and get crispy much better. Chop this up a bit, make sure everything is getting coated in that oil. So I'm gonna move everything over to one side here. And I'm gonna crack our eggs right in here. Do 2 eggs. There we go. Scramble up these eggs. It's all right if those eggs are sticking a little bit to your wok. Don't be scared. 2 things are gonna help with that. The high heat, believe it or not, is going to help release the eggs from the side of the pan, as well at the end when we go in with a little bit of soy sauce, and that's gonna help almost like deglaze it from the pan. But really, don't be too worried about that. Beautiful. Next I have this beautiful crab. Look at this picked out crab we have here. Isn't that lovely? Add all that crab right in there. We're also going to add our beans now at this point and some soy sauce. I'm kind of just eyeballing this, but I would say like 2 tablespoons or so. I like the low sodium, especially when you're going to be cooking it down like this, because as it reduces, it won't get too salty. Let's come in with some green onion, some toasted sesame seeds, and of course some sesame oil. Give this one last stir, a nice toss. I'm also just gonna tear in some cilantro, kind of brighten all this up. Stems and all, I love it. This is totally optional. A little sriracha mayo right on top. I got a little Japanese barbecue sauce, a little hot and spicy. Look at that. Beef and broccoli, sesame chicken, cashew shrimp, crab fried rice. Guys, you can't go wrong with any of these choices. Look at this. I gotta dive in here. Look at that big piece of crab in there. A little spice on there. Wow. Wow. I can't stop eating this. This is incredible. Look, whatever you choose, dumplings, egg rolls, chicken, fried rice, you can't go wrong. Stay in for the night.